I want to talk a little bit about the Sanchin stance and Sanchin stepping. It's a very compact and strong stance, and I wanted to go over three main components of it. The first component is when we stand with our legs and our feet shoulder width apart. What I mean by that is that our feet are going to be about the same width of our shoulders. So we're not going to have wide stances. We're not going to have very narrow stances. We're going to have stances where our shoulders and our feet are pretty much in line. The second component is our heel-toe alignment. Heel-toe alignment means I'm going to have the heel of my right foot, as you can see on the line, the tape on the floor, is going to be in line with the toes of my left foot. So that's called heel-toe alignment. Again, my right heel is on the front of the black line. My left toes are on the front of the black line. So my heels and my toes are lined up. So that's the second component. So first component, my feet and my legs are going to be shoulder width apart. Second component, I'm going to have heel-toe alignment. So that's what it would be in a right stance, my right foot forward. If I were in a left stance, my heel is on the black line, my toes are on the black line. That's heel-toe time, heel-toe alignment in the left stance. Okay, the third component is, once I've got both of those in place, is that my front foot wants to be at 30 degrees. So it wants to be pointing in at 30 degrees. I don't want it straight. I don't want it turned out. I want it turned in towards my body at 30 degrees. And I want my rear foot pointing straight ahead. So my toes are pointing straight ahead. Both of those are critically important for stability. If my rear foot is turned, watch my belt. My rear foot turns, my belt turns. So if I am fighting someone in front of me, if the camera happens to be my enemy, if I want to fight my enemy and I turn my foot, I'm in fact fighting someone off to the left of me, not the enemy in this perspective of the camera. So it's very important to keep the rear foot straight, very important to keep the front foot at 30 degrees. So once again, let's go over it again. Standing up, my feet are going to be shoulder width. From the side, it's going to be heel-toe alignment. My left toes are in line with my right heel, or vice versa. From the front, my front foot is turned in at 30 degrees. My rear foot is straight. So how we're going to walk now in Sanchin to practice the kata is, first thing we're going to do is take the front foot and point it straight forward. And how we do that is we pick our heel up, not our toes. Very important. We do not want to pivot on our toes. We want to take that foot and pivot. We don't want to pivot on our heel, excuse me. We want to pivot on our toes. So we're going to take that front foot, pivot on our toes, and straighten it out. We're now going to do what's called a crescent walk. So we're going to take our foot and do a moon walk and put it down in front of us, keeping the shoulder width and the heel-toe alignment. And we're going to put the front foot at 30 degrees in. So now the front foot is pointed in, and the rear foot is straight. Step again, we straighten the front foot out, pivoting on the toes. We do a crescent step with the right. We come down 30 degrees, and now we're in the right stance again. Once again, the left stance. Once again, the right stance. I'm going to back up here a little bit. So, these stances may appear not to be very stable, but once you get used to them and you're able to move around them, they're very, very stable stances. This is a kata, so don't confuse it with how you would actually move around when you were fighting, but this is the benchmark of your stance. You're going in and out of the stance as you fight. So once again, we're in a right stance. To move, I'm going to straighten my front foot out of my toes, do my crescent walk, put my left foot down with my toes pointed in, straighten my left foot out, crescent walk, put my right foot down. Now I want to go over some turns. I'm going to take one more step here. When we turn in Sanchin and in the kata, we always turn towards the rear foot. So what I mean by that is, in this particular case, I'm in a left stance. Left stance means my left foot is forward, my left leg is forward, and my rear foot, in this case, is my right foot, my right leg. I'm going to turn towards it. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to pick my toes up like a cat. I'm going to pass through what's called a cat stance. I'm going to place my heel down, and I'm going to step around into the Sanchin stance. So let's look at that again. I'm in a left stance. I'm going to pick my rear heel up, turn it into a cat stance, place my heel down, and step around into a right stance. So, if you are in a left stance, which I am, when I turn, my rear foot, which is my right foot, is going to become my front foot when I turn 180 degrees. So let's watch it again. My rear foot, which is my right foot, and turn the toes, put my heel down, and then step around, and now this right foot is going to become my front foot. So if I were to turn back towards the camera, I'm going to pivot on my left foot, put my toes down, step across, and now my left foot is my front foot. Let me come back in the camera range, we'll look at that again. So I'm in a right stance. I'm going to be turning towards my rear foot, which is my left. My left foot, when I turn, is going to become my front foot. So I pivot on my feet. I put my foot down where it wants to go at that 30 degrees. I come around, and I'm now in a left stance. Move over, I'm in a left stance. When I turn back now, I come back, and I'm back in the right stance. Now, a thing that's very, very important to think about is when you turn off of that rear foot, which is facing straight forward, when you do your turn and your rear foot is going to become your front foot, when you stop the turn, that rear foot wants to be at 30 degrees, like the front foot is now, because it's going to become the front foot. So let me show that to you, and then we'll repeat it again. As I turn, this foot is going to come down at 30 degrees relative to when I turn around. So I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to do the right turn. I'm going to be turning towards my right foot. So my right foot is straight. My left foot is turned in, which is my front foot. As I turn, my rear foot is going to become my front. So that's going to go down where it needs to be for 30 degrees. And I'm going to step across. So the important thing is you only move your feet one time during the turn. We do not want to do this. We don't want to place our foot here, turn, and then readjust our feet. We don't ever want to do that. We want to come into our stance. We want to turn our rear foot to where it has to be for the front foot, and we want to step across. And that's called Sanchin turning. Sensei Jim.